Hi, Team Fly. Welcome back to the Always Weird podcast. I'm your host, Ariadna, and we are back with another wonderful episode of Motivational Monday. And coming along with us today, joining along with us today, is one of my all-time favorite Disney movies. Of course, we're going to bring in our inner princess, queens, and kings, and everything in betweens, and whatever you identify as. Because today we have Rapunzel herself. All right. The quote, I'm gonna try not to sing it. I don't have a singing voice. But yeah, it's part of a song, so these are technically lyrics more than a quote. And it goes like this: I could go running and racing and dancing and chasing and leaping and bounding, hair flying, heart pounding and splashing and reeling, and finally feeling now's when my life begins. Okay, that is also feels like a tongue twister if I would have ever if I could have ever remembered the quote by heart. I feel like it's a tongue twister. Once more, ready? I could go running and racing and dancing and chasing and leaping and bounding, hair flying, heart pounding and splashing and reeling, and finally feeling now's when my life begins. All right, so this is the quote that I've been feeling a lot lately. This is the part of my life that I feel like the part of that movie that I'm feeling a lot lately in my life. For a million reasons, because of course it's me. And if you've seen Rapunzel, if you've seen Tangled, because the movie's called Tangled, you know exactly what this moment is. This moment is right before or right as she kind of, goes through what's it called? Like the window of the tower for the first time. She's finally seeing the world. She's finally going to put her feet on the ground, on that grass, on like have like an intense relationship with Mother Nature finally in that kind of way. And feel all sorts of free because that's exactly when she felt like, her life was going to begin. And following shortly after this is a song that's absolutely beautiful as well. And you see her um, going through all the different emotions of just excitement and wonder and fear and joy and literally just she's feeling all those emotions and she's letting all those emotions out. And if that's not my life right now, I don't know what is. If that's not all our lives right now, I don't know what is. I feel like a lot of us, because I read your comments through all my social media, through my email, my clients and students and etc. Like I see you, I feel you, I hear you. And a lot of us are going through it. A lot of us are finally, feeling our feelings. Or a lot of us are like, you know what? I feel like crying right now, or I feel sad right now. That's what I'm feeling like. Or I'm sick right now and I'm going to take some time out for myself and I'm going to cancel plans so I can like take care of myself. That's what I'm feeling right now. And that's absolutely beautiful. So that kind of also led me to this quote a little bit, this moment in this movie that's so beautiful, so well made. So one of the things the first things that I want to point out is that you don't have to be overly attached to what you're creating now. What you're creating today is the help that you need for the bigger picture. And in the movie, that's exactly kind of what happens, especially at the beginning. She paints and paints again. She cooks again and again. She does the activities again and again and again. And even though she feels frustrated in that and just stagnant, that all needed to happen for her to realize her worth, for her to realize that it was her, like as in like she had the power to control her life. She has the power, she has the ability to do whatever she wants with her life, and that her life is hers, her body, her rules. And that's super duper important, that every time she created something there was value in their strength. And that's the same thing for you. Every time you create something there is value and there is strength. Remember that what you are creating now is a pre it's a pre-game of what's coming up. Okay? It's building you up for what's to come. No matter if it's painful or frustrating or even full of joy, everything that you're doing right now, that you're letting go of, that you're releasing, that you're just purging through, or that you are learning from, everything's a requirement for you to be your best self, because everything's happening for you. So the moment that you see this movie, and the moment that you're like realizing this and a little bit more of a spiritual side of the movie, and I can talk about different aspects about this movie in the spiritual sense, but right now we're just focusing on this one, is that everything is happening for you, right? And you don't have to be overly attached to what you're creating now. Maybe what you're creating now is, you're not exactly where you want to be. You're not exactly in that job or in that relationship just yet, or in that house that you dream of, or XYZ, or those dream vacations or whatever. However, whatever it is that you're doing, or wherever it is that you are, it is meant to happen for you to get to that next place. And that also means, talking about tower and talking about Rapunzel's tower, we are having a lot of tower moments, because with those deaths comes rebirths. And every single time that you keep creating, that you keep believing yourself, and you keep trusting yourself, and you keep putting your best self forward, you're allowing yourself to let your past selves die, and for your new self to be reborn again and again and again. And you're allowing yourself to understand and see, yeah, what I'm creating right now may not be the full thing that I want, but if I don't post this podcast, if I don't upload this picture, if I, then how am I going to get there? So I'm just going to keep doing it. I'm just going to keep on going. I'm just going to keep putting myself out there. And we will talk about other things, about energy and about fear, about fear as well. And things like that. I feel like I have a little bit to say about fear in my next Motivational Monday, because I have a great quote about that as well. And even though we're going to be talking about all that, of course, we just got to remind ourselves why we do what we're doing and how important it is. And if you're here listening to me now, I know there's some spiritual self in you. I know there's some inner improvement part of yourself. You're like, I want to be better for myself, not for anybody else, for myself. And I'm going to be listening to what Ariadna's got to say today and see what resonates, because you take what resonates. And whether you're listening to this the day, it releases, or 5 years after, or 50 years after, it's the moment that's aligned for you. And if you listen to this one time, or 500 million times, it is aligned for you. It's as simple as that. So, going back into the quote and creating, my other bit is, you don't have to be a creative person, as in a singer or an artist or content creator or a writer or anything of the sorts, in order for you to be like, oh, well, I don't know what I'm creating. I'm not creative. So like, this doesn't really, align with me or belong to me, It's like, no, because you are the creator of your life. There's no one else but you. It depends on you whether you fly out that window, out of your tower, and tear that tower apart. That is up to you. And that can look like whatever it is, because you can be a banker, you can be a stay-at-home dad or mom, you can be a grocery person, whatever they're called. Sorry, I was like, a grocery shopkeeper? That doesn't, what? You know what I mean? It doesn't matter what you do. You can be a student, and you can be a 90-year-old person listening to this. What matters is that you are the beholder of your life. You are the creator of your life. Whatever that you decide to do today, whatever it is that you decide to eat, drink, watch, read, listen to, go walk, do, it's only up to you. regardless if you're still a teenager and you have to kind of do what your parents say still, a lot of the choices are up to you in that case. But if you're over 18 and you don't listen to anybody else, it's all you, baby. It's all you. So you're bettering yourself every time you create a decision of eating better or listening to things that make you feel better or choosing joy or getting up again. Every single time that you choose something, you're creating something for yourself. And you got to remember, you're always worthy. No matter what you're feeling, much like Rapunzel in that scene, whatever it is that you're feeling, your feelings are valid. Your feelings are 110% valid all the time, no matter what they are. Yeah, I'm definitely I feel like the next Motivational Monday is all about feelings and all these sorts of things, because the next quote is a really, really good one too. Alrighty then, so going back on this, the other little tidbits I want to say is that right now, we got like a fresh set of energy. And I repeat, it doesn't matter when you're listening to this, day of release or not, this moment right now, fresh energy. I want you to take everything that you're going through that is negative and that's painful and turn it into something creative. And once again, you're like, Ariadna, I don't draw, or I don't write, or I don't know how to start, or things like that. And that's fine, babes. That is fine, Team Flyer. That's absolutely okay. But I want you to see and reflect within yourself and take those moments to realize how those moments of negativity / pain / trauma, how they can propel you to be the best version of yourself. What have you been learning? What inspirations have you been taking from them? Because right now it's a time for you to get passionate and inspired about learning and expanding and understanding all these sorts of things for the bigger puzzle piece to come in. For you to get there faster and better and bolder and stronger than ever before. You're going to use this as your muse for your liberation, for your abundance, for your growth. All these things stem from your emotions. And all these things are there for you to benefit you. You know? Like I said, it's such a fun quote because when she's explaining, herself and allowing herself to feel these huge array of emotions all in one, the biggest thing, it's like she can finally go running and racing and dancing and chasing and leaping and bounding and hair flying, heart pounding and splashing and reeling and finally feeling that your life begins. And it's so beautiful because I feel like that song comes up with me every time I have a rebirth. And that's often because I'm choosing to see the good and I'm choosing to do the positive. And I'm going to get real with you like in 0, seconds about how hard that is and how complicated that is. Even for me, Miss Positive, full of sunshines and some flowers and rainbows. I love rainbows. So with that, let's get real. Let's get real first. All right. Now, the next thing on the list would be I am one that has been feeling like a very, very chaotic roller coaster the past year as well. I feel like there's been a lot of challenges that have risen, that have come up that has affected me in ways that I don't know, that threw me off it felt better said that it threw me off my game, where in reality after, reflecting months after, you're like, oh, actually, no, I actually needed that because that actually helped. So one of the things that I was explaining, especially on my TikTok for the past few weeks, on my lives and just TikToks in general that I use a lot, is feeling like that roller coaster. That roller coaster in the sense of I'm very, very high and very, very happy, but then I all of a sudden reach a very, very low low that I just like spin out of control because I don't see any difference. I don't see any changes. And I get very frustrated that I'm still fighting the fight and doing what I'm doing, and then I'm still feeling that kind of stagnant. And it's kind of like a mind F, you know? Like it's playing around. My ego starts barking up, literally like the dog that's barking downstairs right now. And it's like, hey, I'm here. I'm here. I want to make you like. There you go. See? Exactly like these dogs right now. This is perfect timing. All right, I had to wait until they were quiet. So, much like I had to wait like they were quiet, I had to quiet that ego down quite quickly before I continued to spiral beyond end, basically. So I don't spiral as hard as before. I really, really have achieved a lot of great things with therapy and with inner knowing and wisdom and things like that. And it's nowhere near where it was just a few months ago. However, when I see myself in that stagnant mode and I feel that kind of frustrated, I have to take a time to not only, like I was saying, release those feelings and emotions and realize, am I repeating? Am I like hitting the same rock? What am I doing? I feel like I'm always, venting about the same things. I see no change. And it's like, well, wait a second, I feel like the more times I am venting about it, it's also a way of releasing those feelings and giving me that space to do so, because things do take time, because the universe is conspiring in my favor and they are orchestrating behind the scenes. And this is the moments where I really have to continue believing, when I really have to step into my inner trust and inner guides and understand that my power is here and that the big picture is arriving for everything that I want, because that is my destination. That is part of my journey. And not that like the destination's it, because once I reached that next goal slash destination, I'm still gonna continue propelling from then on onward. From then onward. So basically, the two giveaways that I had recently with all this little vent sesh and just understanding and being real with you is two things. One, to be more present. Present, present, present. There's nothing like the present. So when I used to like remind myself to be like, hey, Ariadna, be more present, it was because I was stuck on the past. It was because I was so angry about the past. And I haven't forgiven people or nor myself that I was just miserable, basically. That like I took those moments of like, oh my god, I don't have like that paycheck, or I don't, I'm still in a sucky job, or and I was just frustrated because like, oh, that's because they, or that's because me, or that's because like it was that kind of vibe, basically. And I've shifted. I've come a long way from that. Now, when I catch myself not being present, is because I'm too hung up on the future. Because I love manifesting, and because I am grateful, and because I am grounded, and because I know my truth and my power, because I have forgiving the past and myself and all these sorts of things. So I think about the future and I think I'm like, oh my god, like I want this and this and that. I want these and these goals. And whether they may be business goals as in followers or listens or subscribers, to stability, to finance, to family, to trips, etc. goals, doesn't matter what they are. I was really busy in that moment of like, oh, I really want it now. Like, it needs to happen now. Like, right here, right now. This is the moment. And it became a little too obsessive. And then I realized that I wasn't in the present. I wasn't right here, right now. And you're going to hear me probably repeating this a lot in general because that's my current life lesson. And I know we're aligned some way, somehow. And I feel like it could be a forever lesson, but maybe not. I feel like every time that what's it called? Every time I'm learning this lesson, it's a different level of this lesson, and right now it's the future. So like, be more present of where I'm and be grateful. Not that I'm I'm not ungrateful. Like it's all like, oh my god, I'm better than this. No, but we do forget. We do forget. that we're able to take a lot of things for granted. So as of right now, after this really intense roller coaster of a year because of my health and because I was frustrated with that, and that's the second part of what I've been learning, but one thing at a time. Because of all that, I'm like, oh, but I want treats and I want to go out and I want to travel and I, want to like move and be somewhere different and like have my own space and, not have to like pause my recordings every time the dog barks or, etc. Things like that. And instead, because I was so caught up in, I'm not there yet, I'm like, oh, wait a second, I'm here. And guess what, Ariadna? Among all the chaos of your health and all the chaos of your random 9 to 5 jobs and all the chaos of life of this year, you are safe, your bills are being paid, you got food, you got shelter, you got clothes, you got internet, you got material up a wazoo that you can create for a lifetime and then some. You got family, you got friends, you got a banks. So it's those things. And most of all, like, grateful for oneself. Like, be proud of myself. So that's my current lesson of just being in the moment and understanding that, like, oh, I do wake up happy. And I do, like, every person that I'm encountering in my life, I make sure that they feel a little bit better. Or at least I try to. And I set my boundaries every single time something negative comes up. I set my boundaries so hard that I'm so proud of myself because I'm like, oh, past me would have let that person come through and just bombard her. And now it's like, no, my time, my rules, my body, my choice. Nope. With energy, with everything, because energy is so sacred, and I'm so blessed. I'm so thankful for that. And that's the moment. That's the moment when I realize and understand that, like, everything I'm creating is meant to be created for me right now for the bigger picture. This episode, these moments, these hardships, they're all lessons for me to be like, so this is what I'm learning right now. This balance, this way of making sure that I am able to continue moving forward and making a way to continue learning and living and creating a life that I absolutely love. Oh, goodness. Talking about things I love, little Binks is right here next to me, and he might jump up and say hello. So you might hear him, because he's being super, super cute. He's always cute, though. He's like, Mommy, I want cuddles. And I'm like, Binks, I'm recording right now. Anyways, you can definitely see a lot of Binks on my Instagram and my TikTok. My little beautiful black cat. So, number 2, because once again we had number 1, present, and number 2 lesson right now with all this is mind over body. Goodness gracious me. So essentially speaking, it's been very frustrating, and one of the reasons why I spiraled recently is because with this very intense 9 to 5 job that I currently have while I'm recording this episode, I'm not sure when this episode airs, but at least when I'm recording this episode, I want to be doing this. I want to be recording and being, financially stable with my podcast, with my business and things like that. And that's exactly what I'm working for. But meanwhile, I do have some sort of 9 to 5 that I have to do because bills and money, and you get the picture, right? So one of the things that I manifested is actually a previous job that I had that I absolutely loved. I did it years ago. And anytime someone asks me, it's like, oh, would you do this? What's a job that you would do again? That's, not your job, but like your previous job, which was a teaching position. I'm like, oh, this one. And here I go. And that's exactly what I'm doing. The thing about it is it's very, very intense, but it's a side conversation to have. So while I'm doing this job, the first week, I had a huge back injury again. So I was out a few days. The second week was wisdom domain week, which was just, you gotta listen to the Hakuna Matata episode for the wisdom domain stories. And that was just crazy, insane, amazing, cool, wonderful way to start. Then, oh yeah, the third week I had like back issues again, and I fainted and I was in the hospital. Oh my goodness gracious. And then the following week, I had a cold for like a few, you know what I mean? So it was like a lot of back to back, back to back, back to back stuff. And I'm like, dude, universe, love, like, babes, work with me here. Like, I just want to go out, live my life, and be as healthy as possible. And I'm doing all these sorts of things to be as healthy as possible. What is happening? And a few things happened. One, I definitely, when I meditated and when I tuned into my inner guides, they were doing this to save me from myself, because I'm such an energetic person that I love doing a million gazillion things. And my guides were like, you know what? We're going to make sure that you were staying still as much as you can, because right now you still need to rest. We've given you this previous job that you absolutely adore to keep your mind distracted, to meet new people, which is absolutely wonderful because of the wisdom domain and the Tatra group, for example. Tatra. And all these cool, interesting people that I get to meet, basically. But also, it's to make sure that my body, stays still a little bit more and rests. So even though I want to go out and do a million things, the universe is like, you're gonna rest. That's what you're gonna do. You're gonna rest. That's literally your job. We've given you a job that you like, and in between you're gonna rest. And if that means making you sick, then that's what we're gonna do. Okay, learn your lesson. So, let's go back to the first sentence. Mind over body. Realization number 2. Oh, goodness. All right, so I reflected that throughout all this period of having that 9 to 5 job, because it was very temporary, and I'm very grateful for everything in between that has happened, because it definitely helped. And I feel like maybe needs an episode of its own, to be honest. That's a lot of life lessons in one. It was temporary. Oh yeah, so I realized between all this that when I spiraled really bad, because it was very frustrating that week after week I had something and I was like, dude, I just want to live my life. What's happening? It's because two things. When I was in my teen years, in my early 20s, I was in the worst mental moment in my life. I have just come out of a lot of trauma from my childhood and teenagehood. A lot of things I didn't understand, from living in the streets, from being abused, from, dealing with drunk people, from going from house to house, from doing a million things, and just not being in the best mental state at all. But I was in my best physical state. What does that mean? That meant in that moment that I could go out and do whatever I want whenever I wanted. So I traveled like crazy. I met a million gazillion people, it feels like. I danced my heart out. I just did a million gazillion activities all the time, but I didn't really deal with what was in my, on my mind, and I kept having a lot of toxic relationships because of it. So that versus where I am now is the following. I'm in the worst physical state of my life, which we understand why, because if you've been listening to all my episodes, you know why and how I got here, and if you haven't, it's fine. Welcome to the first episode, or if the story. I definitely have an episode about this in the season 3 called something called something about, I think, March 2020 to May 2022, something like that. And where I do talk about my thyroids, and I do talk about my back injury, and I do talk about my weight gain and toxic environments, things like that. So that has led me to where my body is right now. So for me, and the type of personality that I am, the things that stimulate me is being with other people. And yes, I love my me time. I love my personal space. I love just being with myself all the time, because that's something I've grown to love, and I'm able to go to a concert by myself and movies and all these sorts of things. However, I also love enjoying, time with other people. And for me, after going through all the hardships for the past 2, 3 years since the pandemic and all these sorts of things, I'm like, I want to go out and I want to see my city and I want to go to these concerts and I want to do these things and I want the financial freedom to say, hey, like, yes, universe, thank you because I've paid all my bills, but I want more and I deserve more because I want to have myself take myself out to a treat, like whether it's a Starbucks or a concert. You know what I mean? So what I was saying is that I'm in the worst physical shape of my life, but saving the best for last, I'm in the best mental shape of my life. And that right there is golden. That right there is it's why I do what I do and why I'm here. That right there is why I am throughout all the hardships and all the trauma and all the stress and all the everything saying, you know what? I I can do this. Yeah, I spiraled yesterday, aka the day before recording this episode, and it wasn't the best, but I let those emotions out. I felt those feelings, and I recognized that if I'm still in the same circle of like being stagnant or repeating the same things, I recognize that pattern and let me go change that pattern to be the best self I can be. Oh, thanks. For those of you who have cats or pets, you definitely understand. Things like, "Mommy, you're being too serious. Let me be cutes." He's just he was trying to go from like one side of the furniture to the other, and he was just stretching and jumping. It's one of those things that pets being pets and adorable. And we're back. As always, what you see is what you get, folks. What you see is what you get. I'm one of those. Authenticity at its finest, right, Binks? Trying to make me laugh in the middle of the podcast. See, this is why you're not here when I'm recording, Binks. Sometimes he is. If he's sleeping, he is. But if he's awake, it's just, you've seen it. You've seen some of the videos. Alright, so back to what I was saying with mind over body. Is that, like, there's something so beautiful about reflecting and realizing who you are and where you are and what you do in life. Hence, the first thing I said, apart from the Rapunzel's quote, is you don't have to be overly attached to what you're creating now. Because right now, what I'm creating is, yeah, I created that 9 to 5 because I'm the creator of my universe and that I manifested that. And you're like, it's 12 hours a day, Monday to Friday. It's super intense. It's talking all the time. And I'm like, what am I doing? But instead of being frustrated, which I was frustrated a little bit because I'm still a human being and every single feeling is valid. Oh my goodness gracious. This is definitely next week's topic for Motivational Monday because I'm on fire with that. But point being, after letting that frustration out, I'm like, you know what? I'm manifesting a job that's actually really healthy for me in the sense of I'm actually really comfortable and I love my coworkers and I love my job and it's actually really nice and I know it's temporary. So let me just freaking trust myself and trust the universe that everything's going to be fine. Okay? Yes, it is so frustrating when you don't have control of your body. People who have mental illness, physical issues, like, I don't know what to say right now. Like, I don't really know the exact terminology, to be honest, because my brain right now is in the Spanish terminology. But people like me who are dealing either with thyroid issues, something like they can't control in their body and they're like working through it, people who have anxiety or depression or ADD, people who, you know, have it a little bit tougher in the sense of it's not as easy as 1, 2, 3 ABC. You gotta be proud of yourself. And that's also like a reminder for myself. You gotta make sure that you are like realizing you're doing the best you can. Because if you wake up every morning, see, this is my next point. This is literally my next. This is perfect segue because this is literally the next last thing I want to say in this episode. Your base emotion is joy, because what I realized that throughout this whole year, I have like, oh my god, I'm gonna get emotional. I have acknowledged my power in such a way that I've never done in my life before. I have realized how beautiful everything was tailored to me, no matter how painful it is. And it's through hell and back. through people on people on people, and including myself, through all these toxic patterns, the fact that I was able to just go through that and get up and make it look easy, like Megan Trainor's song. I don't know, like people tell me all the time, my dad, you make it look easy, and I'm like, I don't know how. I'm literally recording episodes where I'm telling you about like Bings coming in and like distracting me, about dogs barking. Or I'm recording episodes or TikTok videos where I'm literally crying, and I'm like, I don't know how I'm making this look easy for you when I'm just literally showing you all my emotions. But I'm happy, I guess, that like at least I am showing you all my emotions, because it's difficult, but it's so worth it at the end. That whole tower moment, like I love tower moments. I love the death card in my tarot read because that means like I'm mother effing learning. I'm mother effing doing that. That's so important. Oh my god, I'm getting so passionate about this. I'm getting so passionate. What I was saying is that when your base emotion is joy, by just being, and I love that people who I'm surrounded by, people who just meet me, feel that. And maybe not always. I've had some students who have been very honest. It was like, the first time I met you, I don't know if I liked you because you were so strict and you were such a teacher. And I'm like, well, I am one. But then it's like I warmed up to you because you just like smiled and like it made everything better. Whereas, for the most part, it's like, oh, your energy, your presence. So I'm always really thankful when people are like that kind of honest, because it's like, you also realize you're not made for everybody, and that's okay. And it's also funny because not only that you're not made for anybody, and that's okay, because I'm very goofy. I'm very strict, but I'm also very goofy, and I sing and I dance in the middle of the class, and I'm going to tease you, but I'm also going to be like, hey, you have to be on time kind of vibe. And if at the end of the day that person doesn't like you, no matter who that person is, that's going to be okay, because you know what? I like me and I know me. And it also made me realize, and once again, it's going into this like 9 to 5 intense job that I'm currently doing. That's just so interesting. It makes me realize like every single week that I'm going through something different, they're also going through something different. And it's so many different wavelengths happening at the same time. That's like, how is it even possible to like grade or to like essentially understand who a person is in this setting? I know. It's so weird. It's such a weird setup for a job, I swear. All right, I'll definitely do some sort of follow up because I get comments also on my TikToks. I definitely have one on my TikTok, but it's very interesting. Point being, joy, joy, joy. From the movie Inside Out. Please watch Inside Out. If you haven't yet, please watch Inside Out. It's such a good movie. Going to what I was saying. If your base emotion is joy just by being, you already have that energy and that frequency. If you just stick to the positive and you follow through that emotion all around your day, like all through your day, that's going to bring so much abundance because you're allowing yourself to be in like a higher vibrational mode all the time. And this comes from a person that like I really thought this year I was being an Eeyore more than anything else. Because I just felt like I'm repeating myself and I'm stuck and I'm stagnant and I'm always hurting. My body aches and like blah 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 blah. And then it's like, wait a second, Ariadna, no, that's 5% out of the whole year. That's 10% of the whole year tops. The rest of the year, look at you. You're getting up and doing it. You're surrounding yourself by joy. You're choosing happiness. Why? Because you're still listening to manifestation stuff and you're still listening to great podcasts. You're still making great content and you're still reaching out and reflecting on your inner self. You're still doing it. You're still going forward. And that's something to be proud of. Like I was saying before, on a side little mini note, like having thyroid issues and the fact that like my doctor, who's super sweet by the way, was like, well, it's not really easy for you to lose weight right now because your thyroid's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. So even though you are working out and you are eating healthy, it's tough. And I'm like, dude, I can't even control my own body. Like, what the f? What is happening? I just want to like be fit and all these sorts of things, and not for anybody else, but just for myself. And I'm like, you know what? I'm doing the best I can with what I got. And you know what? It's working out pretty damn great for me because, yes, because I'm my own biggest fan. Because I'm cheering myself on. And that's the biggest thing. I think that's the biggest conclusion that comes with all of this is, taking a break of course, of taking a break from overthinking, obviously, but making sure to stay grounded, to be present, to go through the process and live it, to observe that pattern and change what needs to be changed, to remember that, like, to wake up because it's here, like my imagination, my creativity is everything because I am being called to take that center stage because that's where I want to be. That's who I am. Apart from speaking into existence, something else when I was talking about in the first part, it's speaking something into existence that you want to manifest, and that is the future you that's aligned with your present you, and release it. Say, hey, universe, show me a sign, and release it, and continue living your day the way that you would. Continue treating people with kindness and love in your heart. Continue treating yourself with kindness and love in your heart, and it'll come back to you. It'll come back to you, and that's the biggest takeaway. And I know for a fact that all the little setbacks that I feel very frustrated, it's like it's all meant to be because this is the message right here, right now. It's that sacred flow. It's the ability of expressing myself exactly the way I am right now. It's taking action and choosing to receive miracles. We're here to make a difference. And yeah. So for the last two quotes would be once more. Well, let me do a little quick one for manifestation, and not manifestation, for affirmation. Is this: I deserve all the greatness and dreams come true because I've done all the work and I know my worth. I'm strong and I'm the strongest one right now because I've broken the cycle. I'm a free spirit. I'm purging my ego because I'm choosing myself and my heart. I'm magical. I've got the faith. This is real. Just a few little words, basically. There she goes, getting emotional. And last but not least, Rapunzel's quote / lyric. I could go running and racing and dancing and chasing and leaping and bounding, hair flying, heart pounding and splashing and railing and finally feeling now when my life begins. I really want you to feel this quote every single day of your life. That every single day you got a new opportunity to rise up and be that champion that you are and be unstoppable and take that leap and remember that today is where your life begins, because every day is a new chance for your life to begin over and over and over again. And that is just absolutely gorgeous. So, thank you once more for listening to this very intense, interesting, wonderful, extraordinary, amazing episode of the Always Believe Your podcast. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you're feeling. Let me know your thoughts. Leave 5-star reviews like Danielle Official says for Pop Meets World. Such a great podcast as well. Just 5 stars review, nothing less. Just 5 stars review. That's all we want in this world. Okay? Because we deserve this. Because this moment, this message deserves only 5-star reviews. All right, darlings. So go connect with your inner self. Go listen in to what your heart needs. Tap in. Get that fresh energy. And remember to choose joy. Choose yourself. Choose to be reborn. Choose to keep going. We got you. We're all in this together. You are loved. Hug tighter. Love stronger. Always believe. Till next time. This is Ariadna for the Always Learn podcast. Love you, Team Flyer.